Hey, what's happening tonight? This is that video I've been struggling with making, and I hope you approve of it. But this video is about one of the most magnificent days of my life. As you know, I came down to Chicago, up to Chicago, on the 30th of November of this year to celebrate my birthday and also to celebrate Larry's birthday. I got a chance to be a part of one of the most magnificent events I've been to, uh, and that was to honor the chairman Larry Hoover for his birthday. And it was a magnificent event. I went through. I remember dropping Ike off at the front door because we were part of Ike's security. And I dropped Ike off at the front door and I went back to park because there were so many people there. I had to park a great distance from the front door. And as I walked back, one of those things kicked in that we've all been taught: being aware is being alive. And I started to look around me and become an observationist. I looked at everything around me because part of me was saying, okay, this is an event for G&D, even though G&D wasn't the only people there. Uh, uh, you know, if there was a B for anything, this would have been the greatest time to take care of it, as far as I'm concerned. If I was in opposition or if I had beef with somebody, this would be the perfect time because the guards are down. Nobody's thinking about it, but I'm trying to make sure that Ike is safe, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm safe. So I'm walking and I'm observing everything, but I'm also walking and observing in appreciation because it was such a magnificent event. I was walking and I noticed that there was so many young people there. There was so many young people there, and I mean that young people who were like uh, uh, peacocks or whatever. They had their chest stuck out, and they were honoring the chief, but they was also just in a place where they was like, hey, I've arrived, and I saw so many people walking with purpose. As I milled through the crowds of people, I saw just the happiness on the people's faces, and all these young people. I mean, there was hundreds of young people there, and no trouble, no trouble. They all were in one mindset. Let's honor the chief. And man, it was just, you could just see smiles, people talking, people haven't seen each other in a long time. There were a lot of old heads there, and board members, and these guys are meeting these guys for the first time because let's be realistic. Some of those young guys, and I would say 99% of the young guys that were there, have never ever seen Larry's face. Some of them have never heard his voice, but this speaks to the magnitude of the man, the mettle of that man. Larry has transcended generations, and he's touched these people spiritually, and their spirits were so high. I mean, guys standing around, and they had alcohol and stuff so you can get a shot. These guys are standing around and they having fun. And they doing exactly what they should be doing. They talking about old times. They talking about the future. You talking about growth and development. This spoke everything about growth and development. I was so honored to be a part of this and be able to just be a part of it. And I have to thank Ike because Ike was the one that cuffed me in life. Ike cuffed me. Between him and Melvin, because as a young kid, some people don't know this, but in K-Town, when the cab stand, not the cab stand, but when the pool hall was on Madison Street next to the IGA, Reverend Rocky Road store, I used to try to cut school, and I would go up there because I wanted to be with those guys. and they would pop me upside the head. We used to have what they call a collision. Some of you guys don't know about this, but you young guys that'll see this, you don't know what a collision was, but this is what a collision was, right? You get your hair all cut off, and they would pop me upside the head. Say, I got a collision naturally now, but back then my mother used to make us get our hair cut, and we used to get what they called a collision. And man, they would pop me upside the head and tell me, go to school. Or get out of here, go play some baseball or something, this and that. You know, they didn't want me around, you know, which was cool because I wasn't supposed to be a part of that. That's not where I fit in. And they understood that. So they sent me on my way on many occasions. And I thanked them for that. But they never shut me out. They always, when I saw them, they always had the time to talk to me and give me some instruction or just show me some love, right? That's what this whole event was about, showing love. We're showing love back and respect back to Larry, the chairman. And man, I mean, I was on a high. I'm walking through and sitting down in this room with all these people, and I see all this joy in the room. And, you know, they have several speakers get up, keynote speakers, I guess you would call them. And this one speaker got up, and I thought that he would continue with the program, but he broke away from the program, and he did something that was unprecedented. This guy grabbed a mic, and he made a statement that just killed the whole spirit. He said, you guys that's standing around in here in those t-shirts, you guys that have those hoodies, you guys that's got on gym shoes, you guys that have on blue jeans, if I was at the door, you wouldn't be in here. He said, you should be ashamed of yourself. And he started throwing out all these negatives to these young brothers, right? Who many have never, ever laid eyes on Larry, but because of Larry's legacy, they're there. Because of their love for Larry, they're there. Because they have Larry in their heart, they're there. They want to honor Larry, they're there. And this guy tells them, in a sense, you don't belong here. And what I saw when I was coming in was guys who felt that they belonged. But here's a guy who gets up and he crushes the spirit. And I mean, I looked around the room and my heart was broken for those young brothers. Because it washed away the theory that we always said there's no big eyes and little U's. But then all of a sudden, because this guy had on a suit and the other guys didn't, that he was a big I and they were a little U. The very thing that we actually been taught to not recognize, he wanted it recognized. That there may be an economic difference, okay, between us. But we've always been taught that we were family. And that there was no difference. The love was universal within the family. We've always been taught that. But here's a guy that gets up and he creates that division. And then we sit back and we wonder why the young guys don't understand the older guys. Well, because we've created a division. We've made them feel left out. We only need you for what we need you for. But we can't rotate in the same circle. This was a family reunion. How do you kick somebody out of a family reunion or tell somebody that they don't belong in a family reunion? I'm not going to go all the way in like I said I would. But I do want to say this, Ike. I would hope that you would send this out there. Because there's probably a lot of young guys who need an advocate, who really wanted to say something that night. Because let's be realistic. Some of those guys had on Yeezys. Need to tell that speaker. Those gym shoes that some of those guys had on, the $350, $500. Those jeans that some of those guys had on were probably $200 and $300 jeans. And them sweaters and shirts and stuff that he said wasn't fit. Sometimes they cost money. That is their fashion statement. And we have to understand them where they are. If we don't try to understand our youth, we're going to lose them. They have no respect already because we've done so much that excludes them. And on the day that they felt included, we let one guy create a division. I think that somebody needs to reach out to that gentleman, that brother, and ask that brother to do what I'm doing right now and come out and give a universal apology and try to reach out to those young men, those young G&Ds, and try to repair the damage that was done that night. Because sometimes, it's not the gunshot that hurts the worst, it's the paper cut. We need to understand that we have to understand, people. The foundation of the doctrines and the literature for the G&D was founded on Christianity. And it's a shame that in Christ, it says, come as you are. What if they didn't have on Yeezys and this and that, and they had on the best thing that they could have on? They still came. And to be truthful about it, most of us came in and our position was comped. We didn't have to pay anything. That was a $25 cover for that event. A lot of those young guys paid the $25, and let's be realistic. What did they do to get it? Some of them stood on the street throwing bricks at the penitentiary, ready to dodge bullets. And they spent their $25 to come to that event, only to be told you don't belong. I really think that somebody should reach out to them and tell them that statement was made out of ignorance. They belong more so than anybody there. And my heart goes out to each and every one of those brothers that felt that statement, because I walked that room and I looked around that room, and I saw the dejection and that change. And I pray that we have men within the G&D that's big enough to reach out to those brothers and just make a statement that sometimes we don't do things the right way, but we willing to stand up and say, I'm sorry to our young cubs. PML, brother. Plenty much love.